Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we are going to take a look at Chapter 57 of Kaiju number 8, and man, what a roller coaster that was! So, it started out, and I was really hoping crossing my fingers, hoping before I saw the first panel that we were going to get to go back to Kafka and see how Kafka was integrating with the First Division. Are they accepting him? Are they rejecting him? Does he have friends? And I didn't even realize that those were my expectations before I opened up the first panel. And I got this really strong emotion, followed by the really quick opposite emotion. And my first thought for this chapter was, man, I gotta start trusting Matsumoto more. So many chapters, I open up and I see the first panel and I'm disappointed. And then 2 pages later, the thing that I was disappointed about, that thing I wanted, it's right there. And that first panel or that first page was just necessary setup. And we get that a lot here. I started off kind of disappointed, but excited to get something else that I wanted. Then I was like, oh, we're getting this other thing, which was what I really wanted. Then it's like, no, we're getting this other thing that's just hilarious. And then the whole thing wraps up with a really strong negative emotion. The kind of negative emotion that you want in a story, however. The darkness before the battle. The presence of the dragon that the hero has to slay. I don't even know what to call this chapter. You don't get a lot of plot. You do get some character development, a relationship development, a reminder of what we're doing. So we get to love our main characters so much that we forget in context who they actually are. There's a Western cartoon called Ben 10, and a lot of people really praised it, and I enjoyed it too, because the main character, you never forgot that after all, he was just a 10-year-old child. A child who is given this amazing power, and he's the main character, so you expect him to be the hero all the time, but he makes stupid mistakes and selfish decisions, and you just never forget that he's a child. And this is something that applies to real life in the context of Kaiju number 8. The modern militaries are made up of young people at the peak of their mental and physical alertness, if not the peak of their wisdom. And so you have, for even in the more elite units, say the Navy SEALs, you have a certain level of immaturity going in there. And that's one thing that I think that manga gets a lot better than Western comics at representing this. Yes, you have these elite units of super soldiers, basically, but they're still very young. And this chapter illustrates that. So I guess you could call it character and relationship development, or a character development chapter, but it's developing the character, the spirit of the Defense Force as a whole. And yes, you've got your older, wiser heads in there, but you've also got a bunch of young, foolish hotheads who are trying to carve out their place, and they're dealing with inferiority complexes. They're dealing with responsibilities that have been dropped on their shoulders at this young age that would probably never happen in any other context in life. And again, this is all very true to life. We get to see the relationships and interactions between the divisions. And again, I think Matsumoto must have done a lot of research into how various units in the military work with each other, and the bantering and the selfishness, the arrogance of these young men who formed these little tribes together, and they're having to work together towards a greater goal. Yes, and each and every one of them would probably take a bullet for any other one of them. But when you put them together in a social context, you're still getting people barely out of their teens that have given fantastic powers and been told to go compete for a place in this hierarchy. And this chapter just really illustrates the consequences of that well. And we get to see characters who we've only seen in one light of hyper-competence, or at the peak of the emotional maturity they're capable of. We get to see them kind of get down in the mud and go wrestling with their friends, because their friends are kind of, well, no way to put a shine on it. Their friends are kind of jerks. And they're kind of jerks, even when we were so used to seeing them as competent, compassionate, focused, and professional. Another thing that this chapter really illustrates for me is how great Matsumoto is at just packing explanations into individual panels, and how brilliant Matsumoto is, how much skill he has at showing, not telling. That is one of the golden rules of storytelling. Show, don't tell. Don't tell your readers that this character is an immature child in many situations. Show them. Don't tell your readers that this other character is building an army. Show them. Show what's going on. Put a face on your story. Let them know that there are stakes. Let them know that there are personal stakes. Show them this. Don't just tell them. And in one panel in this chapter, Matsumoto just drops a ton of explanation on us, and does it in such a way that it's not just exposition. We're looking at something and we're so distracted by the gut-wrenching emotional cost that this image represents that we almost don't notice how many of our questions have been answered by the background in this scene. And of course, like any good storyteller, every answer raises 1,000 more questions. And I cannot wait for this story to go on. I am looking forward to it. The full spoiler review is going to be a lot of fun. And go check out the links below my video for a copy of Humans Are Weird. I have the data, and Humans Are Weird, we took a vote. Peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans Are Weird, we took a vote, and Humans Are Weird, I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, we took a vote, and Humans Are Weird, I have the data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.